So before we begin, I just want to quickly acknowledge how experimental this new phase 4 of Marvel seems to be. So we began obviously with WandaVision, which was like a pseudo sitcom as character study of Wanda as a character. Then we got Loki, which was like a time travel based show. And obviously we have Moon Knight upcoming, which seems to be a character study of a supernatural character with mental health aspects. And then we have Ms. Marvel, who released a trailer just last night, right before I was sleeping. So before I could make a video on it, I immediately wanted to, I was just so tired, I fell asleep. So yeah, this Miss Marvel seems to be more of a sort of teen drama, coming of age kind of story.
Really? Come on, like,
Do I have to figure out my whole future before lunch or
So yeah, let's begin with the trailer. So right in the very beginning, we see Miss Marvel scribbling on her sketchbook, and she has scribbled something along the lines of Ant-Man versus Man-Ant, which immediately reminds me of Man-Spider, who is like this sort of reverse version of Spider-Man, where like he's this monstrous entity who's essentially a spider with characteristics of a man. And I wonder if this is related to that in this, at least this Easter egg is related to that in any way. And I don't know if there is a character called the Man Ant, although if they are going to introduce it in this show, that's certainly going to be an interesting choice because that seems like a horrific idea. We have a brief glimpse of her high school life where we first meet her teachers, then we meet her sort of high school bully, the person who always deliberately pronounces your name wrong. And then we meet her crush, and we see this repeated imagery of a clock. The reason I'm bringing this up is because in this imagery, the clock's minute hand stays constant, and the whole clock is turning around instead of the clock staying constant and the minute hand turning around. And at first I thought this was just a reference to how when you're in high school everything sort of seems permanent, but I don't know, this imagery seems very deliberate, and I don't know what this is trying to imply, whether there are going to be some time travel shenanigans in this show. I'm not really sure. Then obviously we get to the part where she gets her powers, and in this iteration she gets her powers from this wristband like object. And I can already see why certain people will have issues with this, because in the comics Miss Marvel is an inhuman, meaning she gets her powers from Terrigen Mist. But I guess in this case, Marvel Cinematic Universe hasn't even introduced Inhumans properly. I mean, they kind of have, but we don't like to talk about that. And I guess the Inhumans show is not really part of the MCU, is it? There was also reference to Inhumans, not reference, there were Inhumans in Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as well. And yeah, I do feel that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Inhumans are part of the greater Marvel multiverse. They are not as such introduced to people who have just been following the Marvel MCU continuity, because there are a lot of people who have been following the Marvel MCU continuity who haven't actually checked into the Marvel Netflix shows before Disney Plus shows were a thing. Myself included, I got into Marvel shows when the Disney Plus shows came out. First of all, I didn't know about the Marvel Netflix shows, and personally I thought that the Marvel Netflix shows weren't really like that much part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it turns out I was right because they were under separate leaderships, Kevin Feige and someone else. Coming to the main point, so she gets her powers from this bracelet, and that is an interesting dynamic because that means that she can potentially lose her powers. And it also makes me wonder what this bracelet is. The first thing that I think of when I see this bracelet is, I think, the quantum bands, which I think Quasar wears. And I don't know if this is related to that in any ways, because her powers are certainly in this case of more of a cosmic nature. She even says the word cosmic, so thank you for that. Her powers have been drastically changed from what they were in the comics. In the comics, she was essentially someone who can stretch and change her body into different shapes and sort of embiggen her body, make her different body parts big. And so sometimes many people used to call her Captain Balloon Hands. which is there in this trailer. It's not like it's not there, because there is this very cheeky line, the fate is in her hands. I get what you did there. But apart from that, her powers really seem to be more on the sides of energy manipulation. She forms these energy crystals which she can walk on. She forms this energy shield. She has this scene where she sort of projects her hands outward towards the door and closes the door from a distance. So I'm really interested to see in what direction they are going to go with her powers. And the change is definitely a bit of a concern, but also simultaneously I'm interested to see what they are going to do, and willing to give it a fair chance before I say anything negative about them. And also the powers do seem quite interesting, I'm not gonna lie. It also makes me wonder whether this change in her powers has anything to do with the fact that Marvel has acquired Fox, and obviously now they want to bring in Fantastic Four. And Fantastic Four has Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards. And Reed Richards' powers are often compared to Miss Marvel, at least so far as the comics are concerned. They both have very similar powers where they can stretch their arms, they can, make their fists into these big attack like fists, they can stretch their legs, etc., etc. Another thing which is kind of concerning for me in this trailer is that she doesn't say her catchphrase "embiggen," but that is whatever it is. This is just a teaser trailer. We'll have more trailers and we'll see what turns up then. Before I end this, I just want to say it might look like I have mixed reaction on this entire trailer, which I kind of do, but on the whole, I really like where this trailer seems to be indicating the show is going. So the main appeal of a character like Miss Marvel for myself and many others is that she, at her heart, is essentially a nerd in the MCU. She is a fan of all of these larger than life superhero type characters, and she envisions herself being like them, just like us comic book fans always envision ourselves being like them, and sort of having these end of the world scenario and we emerge as the last saviors. I mean, who hasn't had that fantasy, honestly? And so when Miss Marvel gets her powers, it really feels like one of us is getting these powers. And
I'm a superhero.
And the show really does capture that very well. And even her costume, when her costume was first revealed, some people were criticizing it for looking sort of cosplay-ish. Thing is, that is the point. Her costume is supposed to be a cosplay-ish costume. She is someone who fangirls over superheroes and who cosplays as them, just like real life cosplayers, and just so happens to get powers herself. So, this show is really capturing that, and I'm really into it. And another thing that I want to point out is the cultural aspect of it, right? The culture where she comes from is obviously very close to my own culture. And I just hope we don't get another Tu Mera Hero. What was the name of the song from Eternals? Eternals Bollywood song. Nach Mera Hero, not Tu Mera Hero, Nach Mera Hero. Okay. And I just, what was that? Marvel, if you're gonna give us representation, please do it right. If you can't do it right, just leave it be. Just leave it be. There are no hard feelings between us, but if you're gonna do it, please don't give us this trash. And I really hope, really, really hope that they get the cultural aspect right and we don't get another Nach Mera Hero situation. That was a travesty. So, anyways, that's all I had to say about this. So, I hope you liked this video. My name is G.C.Nightwalker. I am an author of this novel that you can see right here. Links to buy this will be in the description. And for more videos like this, you can hit the subscribe button, all notifications. Also, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Also, hey, editing Nightwalker here. I don't know how I missed this earlier, but apparently, when this trailer came out, Kamal R. Khan, yes, that Kamal R. Khan, filed a lawsuit against Disney for using his likeness. Make of that what you will. Anyways, that's it for the video.